what's up? Coach Nicke Smith, Hollywood Nicke, and welcome to Kimball High School. Come on into my crib.
All right, Coach. So I had some questions for you. Back up. It's pretty. Just getting to know you really a little bit. So I wanted you to initially talk about this. Talk about the school, Kimball High, its role in the community.
Well, Justin at Kimball High School
Justin at Kimball.
Is what I consider a wonderful school to be at, to teach at, to coach at, and just, it's life to me. Whether in my family, this is my family up here, the whole staff, from teachers to coaches to the custodians. I mean, we all know each other, and it's just a big family. And, sometimes you have your ups and downs, but for the most part, we all stick together. And the community is wonderful. The dynamics have changed in the area, but we still get a lot of community support. And I just love being here. The parents are very involved. The alumni is very involved. They want to not only see the students excel in extracurricular activities and sports, but also academically. And we're pushing to be an A school right now. That's our main goal.
Okay, and so me being here for like the past 6-7 years, I'm still learning like the landscape of. I'm learning how the football world works. I know there's your powerhouse of football, but now I know that basketball, that you're actually turning Justin F. Kimball to one of the cream of the crops in the city alone, not just the state. But so is there a lot of pressure trying to compete with the other schools in the area that as far as recruiting, or just trying to fight your way to the top? I mean, you are state champion this past year.
Well, it's not.
Or is there like a brotherhood amongst
the
schools?
I'll explain that. This started way before me, and it has nothing to do with me. This school has had a lot of rich tradition in athletics, but for basketball, I know soccer says they're the Mecca with football and things like that, but for basketball, this is. I mean, we got 8 state champions. We're, championships. We have the second most in the state of Texas, and that means something. If you look up there, you'll see the standard. Everybody can say that. Some people try to duplicate that, but we are the standard that a lot of these teams are trying to get at. So, competition. There's always, competitive competition, friendly competition. But a lot of us coaches, we all know each other, especially in Dallas ISD. And so we all support each other when that person's moving on to the next round. If one of us get knocked out, we're all behind each other. But then we turn back around and it starts all over again, because we're all trying to get there, and we know everybody can't get there.
Right.
But, like I said, we are the standard. And I used to put pressure on myself because I knew I needed to get down that road. And I was able to get there the last 5 years. I've been to 4 state championships, won 2.
I saw that.
But before me, before me was Snoop Johnson. Snoop had been several times before he won, and then he went 4 years in a row and won 3. His father, Goree Johnson, he won 2 back-to-back. Matter of fact, Kimball during his time was the #1 team in the country.
I was going to ask you that. I was, this is like my 3rd time coming to pull up on you, just talk to you, whatever. But first time on camera. But I was walking around the practice gym. Was it the old gym now?
Well, it's the gym we practice.
So I was seeing all the banners, and one thing that stuck out to me, I just added literally before we walked over here, that I saw a lot about Royce Johnson, Snoop. So I was going to ask you could speak just a little bit towards like what he brought to Kimball, and how you.
He's a grad of Kimball. They won his class 1990 with Coach Jimmy Tubbs. That was the first state championship. That was his senior year. So they actually brought the first state championship to Kimball. And then his father took over after that, 91, and then he was an assistant coach when he came home from college. He took over in 99. He had been there from 99 to 2014. In between that time, I think he went in 99, 2002. He went in 2009. and then he won it in 2011, 2012. He won in 2013. He won it in 2014. Um, and that I was his assistant in '02 to '04, and then I took over at Pinkston. So just that tradition, just growing up in this program, I know what the expectations are. I knew coming in, and I knew it was going to be easy. And one thing that he would always tell me is that, you know, the name and the brand that speaks for itself. I just need to come in and keep it rolling, and and do a good job. And so the tradition is there. The goal is still the same, but it's about what kind of culture you're going to have in your program. What is the culture going to be like? And it took me a while to kind of figure it out, but once I got it going and got the culture right, and then we've been able to get back on top.
So that's one of the things that drew me to you to your Instagram page is how like you lead with a lot of swag, but it's also you lead. It seems like you lead with like toughness and just accountability. But like, what's some of your pinnacles of what you want to coach or what you want to get to your players when they come through these doors at Kimball? Like, what's one thing? What's the first thing you preach to them?
Well, I tell them all that it's an honor to play this sport, and it's also an honor to play here for what you're just not playing for yourself, but you're playing for your school. You're playing for your community,
Right.
and then we're also representing Dallas ISD. That's the first thing. The second thing is I let them know, and I let them parent everybody can't play here. You got to be able to defend.
You get some pushback from that?
No, they all say, "Yo, we get it, and they realize I'm serious. If you can defend, you're gonna stay on the court. Offense eventually come and speak for itself, but you got to be able to defend. You got to play hard. I really feel like that's what, especially if these kids are trying to play at the next level, that's what
Defense.
college coaches are looking for. They're looking for tough kids that are going to work their butts off and they're going to play defense. They already know they got guys that can score already, but if you can do that, you'll find yourself on the court.
Okay.
And speaking of those banners, it's two that's not up there.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
I got to get put up there. But if you notice when you walk in there, you only see state championship banners around the school in whatever sport. So it's not that we don't celebrate district championships, regionals, and things. If that was the case, that gym would be full.
Yeah.
But we want kids coming in saying, looking around, and they see state.
Okay. So my next thing was I wanted to just kind of touch on just the journey from day one. I guess you kind of already talked a little bit about it, but just how hard has it been from day one of coaching from I guess you started in summertime and then you built that foundation.
It wasn't easy, especially when I left and took my first head job at Pinkston. I was trying to bring a certain winning culture there, and it was a struggle the first year because sometimes you inherit kids. They weren't bad kids; they just wasn't used to the discipline of winning.
Yeah.
And then I was able to, it takes a few years. And once I got in around 2000, I'd say 6, 7, and started turning around. 2007, 8. The staff I had, was my brother, Gerald Smith, Anthony McGee, Ed Taylor, Trey Washington, Malcolm Newman, Fred Morris. Those guys kind of helped me turn that thing around. And then we got into 2009, 2010, and we were able to go to our first regional championship game where we lost to Lancaster, and then Lancaster went on to lose to Houston Yates in 2010. And both of them had really good teams, but we were glad we weren't satisfied, but we were glad because that was the first time Pinkston had been past the second round since the school had been built. And that was a feat for me, but it was just always a struggle, because the few kids we did have at the middle schools, people were trying to pull at them with what you would consider big time programs. And, it gets a little old, but I miss my time there in West Dallas being at the school because I learned a lot and I grew as a coach. Then I came back here as an assistant with Snoop. We went to state twice, won one. And then I took over in 2014, 2015, and got knocked out the third round. I want to say 2016, we got knocked out the first round, 2017, second round, and 2018, first round. So I didn't think I was doing a good job. What I was doing, I had to change some things in my approach, as a coach, and change some things within about myself and how I was going to approach this thing and how I was going to coach and my practices and everything like that. So First thing I had to do was change the staff up and get some like-minded guys around me
Right.
that I could trust. Second, we're going to go to some coaches clinics. We're going to get out and we're going to learn. And so we went to U of H's first coaches clinic in fall of 2019, and we took everything they did, the way they play defense, offense, everything. And we had to come back here and teach it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and we were starting it, and we were getting ready to start the season. That was October 19th. We went to their coaches clinic.
And how was that 2 weeks? How that 2 weeks, yeah?
It was tough because we had to change up. I mean, imagine going over something for 2 or 3 months, and then 2 weeks you changing everything you do up. And we went 30-7, and we made it to the regional finals. That was 2020. We lost the COVID year. We lost to Lancaster in the regional finals, and then came back 2021, 25-11. We made it to state. We lost to Beaumont United, buzzer shot. 2022, we made it to state semifinals, lost to Beaumont United by 2. We were 30-9. And then 2023, we were 33-2, won the state championship. So in that, with that same system that U of H does.
So I was asking you earlier about your journey since day one. Tell me about some of the ups and downs you was experiencing, from some success and maybe some losses you took.
Well, the first year I took over, we had a really good team. We had 5 players signed Division I scholarships. One of them is one of my assistant coaches now, Darius Johnson. I think we got to the 3rd round and got knocked out by a Mansfield Summit team, I believe. And then the following year, expecting great things, didn't have as much talent. We got knocked out the 1st round. That was 2016, 2017. 2nd round, 2018, 1st round. And then 2019 was the 3rd round. And I was like, I had to just change some things. I had to change how, I approached the game. Just some different things I felt about myself, but also I had to change my staff up. You had to get some like-minded guys around you that's going to support you. And that's going to, instill in these young men on all levels my vision for where we need to be. And like I said, the goal was the same every year to win a state championship, but it was changing the culture and how we did it. So once I got that done and got the staff right, we decided October 19th of 2019 to go to U of H's coaches clinic.
Okay.
It was their first one, and we went and we loved it. I told them, take everything. Take everything.
Learn it all.
Learn it all.
Be a sponge.
And we came back. We had 2 weeks to teach this before the season started. And I'm saying to myself, how are we going to implement this whole new thing, defense and offense, to these guys? And we did it.
Yeah, I would imagine it's tough for 2 weeks.
It's tough. You're talking about a whole new system. And we kept some things that we did, but a whole new system, the way we practiced, everything. And we ended up going 30-7 that year.
30-7.
Yeah, made it to the regional finals, lost to Lancaster. And then the next year we went 25-11. Same style, same way we coached and everything, same system. Made it to state championship, lost by 2 to Beaumont United. 2022 state semifinal, lost by 2. We were 30-9. And then 2023 we were 33-2. Number 1 in state, top 25. We were number 24 USA Today. Ooh. That year we won a state championship. 2024. We went 2013, got knocked out the 2nd round. We brought everybody back and went 28-5, I think this year, or 29-5, one of them, and won a state championship again.
Okay, so do you learn more from your wins or do you learn more from your losses?
To me, you learn more from your losses. Like I tell my kids every year, I would love to go undefeated, but that's not the goal, to be undefeated.
Right.
Sometimes you're gonna drop a few games. I let them know at the beginning of the season, you're gonna drop a few games, and then we're gonna get back in the lab. We're gonna figure it out, and it's good because you do it early.
Right.
And even if you get 1 or 2 in the middle of the season, that's fine because it keeps those kids hungry and you get back in the lab. The hardest thing was we played in 2022, 2023 year. We won state. We played Wheeler in Atlanta. Okay. Isaiah Collier, who plays for Utah Jazz.
Okay, yeah.
We don't I mean, they were pros out there. And we were in the game the whole game. I think we lost that game in that last 5 minutes or so. And they just took off on us. But we got in the locker room after the game, And T-John Brown, who was my point guard at the time, the Cannon Wickware,
Mm-hmm.
they looked at me and they said, "Coach, we're not losing another game."
That's the one that goes to Murray?
McNeese.
McNeese.
Yes.
I know the one with the
McNeese State. And so I was like, I looked at them both. I said, "All right then, show me."
Yeah.
But I'm like, I know we going, you know what I'm saying? We probably gonna drop it down to. We went on a 28-game winning streak.
28 games. How do you keep that momentum going for that long?
I was just about to say that because I got asked that question several times in post game interviews and things like that. The thing is with that is, some of the games we did, like squeeze out of a few games like by 2, by 1, but we won them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as long as you get the win, right?
Get the dub.
28 games, I got asked that question. What's the secret? What's the hardest part? I say, the hardest part is keeping them winning. Like, I had to tell them by mid-district, I said, y'all can't lose no more games. Because at that time, with the old format, the best record going into the state championship game is going to play the worst record.
Right.
So we had the best record. We had 2 losses. And we had to win 28 straight games. And when we got to mid-district, I said, y'all can't lose. Now, of course, in the playoffs, you definitely can't lose any game. So I said, y'all got to keep winning. So the hardest part for me was keeping them winning and keeping them playing at a high level. And we escaped one game in the playoffs, I think second round. We won by 3. And they had the last shot. We were only up 2. No, we were 1. We were 1. And the kid missed it, and we got the rebound through it. Of course, got a layup, game over.
So last year, I seen like a lot of media outlets. They was crowning y'all with the like basically y'all was like dunk squad or something. Like y'all was just dunking everything. Like, is that something that you push more of, just to kind of create that dominance, or? So
every year, you want your program to have a main identity, and our identity is we're going to compete and we're going to play hard.
Right.
And we're going to always give ourselves a chance to win. That's Kimball basketball. Okay?
Kimball basketball.
That's Kimball basketball. And we tell that to kids, so if a kid asks you what's Kimball basketball, they're going to say that. Okay? And the thing is that with that particular group, each group, we know that's Kimball basketball, but each group is going to be a little different. So we'll have a theme song every year.
Okay.
It was this past year, it was like that. In 2023, it was Every Chance I Get. So this year was like that. So then I find the theme song, and then I turn around and be like, what is going to be this team's theme? So I just started looking at old videos on YouTube, ran across the UNLV Running Rebels with Larry Johnson, Stacey Augman, and the way they were getting up and down the court, and they were dunking, throwing oops. And I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to defend, and we're going to do that. So, man, on a good night, we might have 12, 13 dunks in a game. On a bad night, 7.
Mm-hmm.
State championship, it was like, I think 15 maybe. And could have probably been more than that, but.
You preach fast break?
Yeah, every day. But we have to defend the fast break.
Right.
Because I don't like when kids leak out like that unless I tell them to. So I always let the kids know we're faster as 5 guys on the court than they are 2 guys or 3 guys. We're faster as 5 than there are 1.
Right.
I don't have to see 2 on 1 all the time. I want to see 5 on 2, 3. So it's a scheme to it. They have lanes they have to run. If we get the ball out on the right side, it's an outlet. The guy on the other side of the court, he's coming through. This guy's, it's an X. He's going there. And you have a rim runner down, and you have a trail. That point guard knows where everybody is. He knows who to hit. He knows who to skip. He knows when to keep it. He knows when to flip it back to the trail guy. So it's a madness to it,
Okay, so I'm assuming you played in your days.
Mm-hmm.
So what? I didn't get to see that portion. Where did you play? Where school you went?
So I graduated from Huntington High School in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
My first scholarship was to Paul Quinn College here in Dallas. I was here in 92, 93. That was my freshman year. Actually pledged out for there also. Left there, went to Southern Shreveport Junior College, played there a year, and then got a scholarship to Wiley College. And that's where I finished at Wiley, home of the great debaters. Wiley College, so that's where I finished at. Very proud alumni there. My coach passed a couple of years ago, Eddie Ray Watson, and he's from Michigan. And, taught us a lot. You know, I know we all really miss him, but you know, didn't get a chance to talk to him before he passed. But you know, he's a good dude.
So I'm looking at this wall right here, and I want the press. I want the press. Beautiful mirror.
So all those sayings up there are I gave them all those sayings to put up there, and those are things we say in the program. But the biggest one is the ones down there. We say before every practice, before every game, we always say play hard, play smart, play together.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what would you say is the most important 3 words or 3 things on that wall?
Yeah, play hard, play smart, play together.
So if you could just go to a little bit of each one, why each one makes those 3 words important to you?
Well, the playing hard, like that's something that you can't take away from anybody if you're giving everything you got. To me, if you're playing hard, if you're playing defense, I don't care if you not scoring, you're gonna stay on the court.
Exactly.
You know, and I think when the kids realize that and they buy into that, you know, it makes our job easier because my team focuses on getting stops. They love the offensive side of it. They love shooting threes. I let them do all that and everything. They focus on getting stops. And if you cannot guard or defend, this is just not the spot for you. Now, maybe after I'm gone one day and a new coach come in and everybody come in, you know, but my thing is you have to play hard while you're out there. And then playing smart. You play hard, that leads to playing smart. Playing smart, I tell kids, especially on game days, or, you know, get to school on time, go to every class, get everything turned in, and then, you know, after school, you know, we eat, we do this. All that carries over to the game. If you have a bad day at school, you have a bad game most likely. So playing smart, I look at kids, how they are in the daytime. You know, if they're attentive in class or if they just trying to be around, walking the halls, they don't care about their grades. They probably got talent, but they're not very smart basketball players. So we want to play smart. You know, we don't want to make those unnecessary turnovers. We want to make the right decisions. If you're making the right decisions during the day, you're going to make the right decisions during the night with those games.
Exactly.
Okay? And then playing together. Playing together is the big thing. You know, sometimes guys are going to be a little bit more ball dominant, and that's okay. You're going to have some ball dominant guys on your team, but play the right way, and when it's time to make the right pass, make the right pass. That don't always happen, but sometimes you have to do that. So that means, what's wrong with creating for your teammate, setting him up just because he's your teammate? You know what I'm saying? Set your teammate up.
And question, as a coach in the 21st century versus coming up in basketball in the 90s, you know, y'all ain't have social media, you know?
Right.
So is it different trying to coach, keep the team as a camaraderie together, knowing like everybody probably want to get their shine on because Instagram and, you know, you got people here watching who's on posting clips after the game. Like,
oh yeah.
How do you keep everybody like, look, let's keep it low, like keep it level?
I had some social media junkies over the years, but this group last year was the worst.
The worst?
When it came to social media. I'm talking about their highlights would be up at halftime. And they weren't doing it. It was dudes at the game having their highlights was up. And before we go out, they might grab the phone and retweet it, go back out and get ready to go play. But they was up or right after the game. And I used to stay on them about that, but I knew, so I had to figure it out. Like, coming here and playing in this system, especially when you're winning, in the marketing we do and the marketing we get, you're a superstar. You're a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? You got your stars that are here and you got your superstars.
I seen it at not the last shoot around, but not 2 Wednesdays ago. I think one of your older players here, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who he was, but it's like you had so many people here just highlighting just even the shoot around.
Yeah, you see all them cameras?
Yeah, like I was like,
there'll be some here today. There'll be some there, man. Y'all, because the type of guys we have, they were superstars, man. And they get here and a lot of them blow up, and then, you know, this group had their own follow. Like I've had 2 groups that had their own guys that personally follow them.
Wow.
That you see
High
really be
school.
putting out stuff. They a lot of those guys started with some of my guys, and they were putting content out on them, and then they just branched out after that, and they got a lot of clients and stuff like that. But yeah, they were coming to, man, their own entourages and stuff. But it's tough. You just kind of have to get them to focus and separate stuff. And as long as they can say, okay, I got this over here, but this is work. This is my job. Now when they hit me with that, coach, such and such call, I want to know if they can come film me in practice. I said, that's fine. They want to know if they can mic me up. No. Coach, such and such want to know if they can mic me up in the locker room for the game. No.
Hey, why? Just curious. Why do you say no?
Because
you don't want everybody to know what you.
Well, it ain't even that. It's that we need to be focused on the task.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to get mic'd up after the game, do some interviews, you want to do some pre-game interviews, that's fine. But I don't want you mic'd up. I had one kid a couple years ago, the one you were saying that was over there, you didn't know who he was. He couldn't get mic'd up for a game. I said, no, he snuck and did it anyway. Because weeks later, I see it on YouTube, he in the game. I was like, no, but you just never know what happens. You don't want something to happen and those guys feeling there's something said. And it's now, a lot of these guys, they do well with us and they block out some things, but you don't want that. So I don't allow it.
Okay, so one of my last questions, if you can just kind of speak on just some of your, not favorite past player, but just some of your past players that have moved on to, I guess, different levels, like NBA, some probably.
Since I've been coaching,
yes.
or just
since you've been coaching here.
Man, yeah, I've had some really good ones. I had a kid named Ollie Jackson that played at Pinkston High School, that went to St. Francis up in PA, in Pennsylvania, PA. There, he did 4 years. He actually, played 4 years in college, and then he's back here. I think he's living close to the Fort Worth area, not in Fort Worth. Tony Mitchell, who played at Pinkston for me also that same year. He's in, he was in Mongolia. I'm not sure if he's in Taiwan. He might be in Taiwan, I'm not sure. But he got drafted by the Detroit Pistons out of North Texas. There's been so many. Jawan Evans, who's, played at Oklahoma State. He's a McDonald's All-American. Got drafted by the Clippers. Been in Greece, a couple other places. Arterio Morris, McDonald's All-American, went to Texas. Chauncey Gibson, who went to Clemson, he's at Chicago State now. There's Trey Clayton, there's Tijon Brown, the Cannon Wickware, Tyler Ankemer. I can go back, guys, Anthony Thomas that I had.
What is
Odyssey. We had a lot of guys, Kenyon Bowie. Kobe Williams is in, I think he's in Germany. He played Louisiana Tech. It's been a lot. Like I just did my count the other day, but this is going to be my 19th year as a head coach. So I did 7 at Pinkston. So this should be 12 now. This will be my 12th at Kimball. So I've had 71 kids sign scholarships.
Okay, so I guess that's an easy answer to my next question. What keeps you going there? What keeps you wanting to come back and do this every year?
Well, I tell you what, my goal is to go to college. My dream job is being an assistant coach at SMU. Or if not, that doesn't happen. I've had some opportunities over the years, didn't take them. But when I look back on them, I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have won the state championships. But that's a dream job of mine, is to be, on that staff and maybe work my way up from there. But what keeps me going, man, I'm gonna tell you something. I took a couple years off when I left Pinkston because my dad had a stroke. And I came back here, and I was an assistant for a couple years. But the one thing I missed was having my own team. And when you watch, what's the movie, Gladiator, and they go into the arena and you hear the roars of the crowd and everything like that, to me, this is my,
this is Rome.
This is Rome, man. This is Rome. This, like, when you enter in those arenas, man, and it's packed and it's loud and you hear the roars and everything like that. And I'm in my own world as a coach, coaching on the sideline, because it's not about me. And I'm not out there for show, so I'm so focused, and I'm coaching the entire game. I don't care if we up 20 or we down 20.
Right.
And those kids feed off of that. they feed off the crowd, they feed off, and you hear like they're the gladiators.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And like I'm Caesar, you know what I'm saying? I'm the czar, and I'm like instructing them on what to do, and then we win it, and it's just that atmosphere, it's those lights, it's being on the big stage, and I love it.
So when fans come to a Kimball game, they know what to expect. They know
they know what it's gonna be like.
Smart, hard-nosed basketball.
They gonna see that. They gonna see guys playing defense. They're gonna see guys moving it, getting up fast, breaking, shooting the three, getting to the rack. They're gonna see dunks, and they're gonna see my guys can be bullies sometimes. They talk a little noise, but I keep them calm out there. But it's just that swagger that I have for this particular group.
Right.
This last year's group and this group is like that. And then when they move on, the next group of guys, they're not quite like that, but they play hard. The one thing they're gonna do is play hard. So having that tough mentality, some kids get it. Some kids you can instill it in them, and some kids
they just don't have it.
They just don't have it, and the ones that just don't have it, they don't always do well here. But I go to bat for them. I believe in them. I push them and do what I can and everything like that.
So you just won a state championship. Mm-hmm. Are you prepared for not hostility, but the envious other schools? Just every time I come into the arena, it's like they want to take your head out low key because y'all the people at the top right now.
We don't even have to win a state championship, and it's like that with Kimball. Man, I was just talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and I was like, man, I see a lot of these coaches getting help from guys. Kids coming out to 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, they helping them get players at their schools. They trying to build them up because they want to. Nobody's doing that for us. I mean, so we just got to grind. Keep this what I call this bad boy sexy. Keep it attractive. And it ain't me. I'm the face as the coach, but those players are what it's about.
Yeah.
And they're the faces. You know what I'm saying? I just have to lead them and make sure I'm steering them in the right direction. I'm so proud I had 10 guys make National Honor Society on my varsity this year. Yeah, that meant more to me. Now, not quite as a state championship, but to get a state championship and for those kids to get National Honor Society, that means nobody made less than an 80. And I was so proud of that.
That's wonderful.
You don't see that getting pulled up. Now, the district put it online, but it just wasn't like I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because your school ain't winning the state, okay? And y'all ain't got that many kids making National Honor Society either. But then y'all getting all this pub and all this and what you're doing. So it's like everything is from the ground here, and it's not easy managing it. But in the end, when we reach our goal, it's worth it.
Because I was the point to ask you that, like, from my outside looking in, it's like South Dallas or just this area, Oak Cliff, South Dallas area, it's like the schools kind of get like a little, maybe a semi-bad rep as far as compared to the other schools out in the other areas or whatever. Yeah. So I guess just kind of, if you can double down on how proud of you are, just get like for one, just breaking whatever the status quo.
Let me say this: there are going to be issues at everybody's school, and you think most outside these schools are going to have metal detectors at the door. Some of these schools in the suburbs, they'll be like, we ain't got metal detectors.
Right.
And those are the schools something happens at, and y'all are like, hey, we just want to make sure our students are safe at every school. And just because it's inner city does not mean it's bad. A lot of times, wherever you go, there's going to be some fights, there's going to be some things happen. You don't hear a lot of things that happen in these suburbs unless it's just so tragic because they keep it under wraps.
Right.
But it's certain schools, I mean, this is the biggest district in the area in North Texas. So the media, those are stories and whatever you may have. And I tell people, we don't really have those issues over here like that. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, the demographics have changed over here and stuff like that. I like the way, our school is. We don't just have a lot of issues, but every couple of years something's gonna happen. And it's part of life and it's part of being in schools, but for the most part, our kids love being here. And, you get some that think it's boring. Guess what? I like boring.
I love war.
That mean nothing popping off every day. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
That mean you ain't running down because you got 8, 9 fights that happen every day going to the office. You ain't got that.
You want like, I hope one of my players is
Yeah,
winning.
or your players getting into something. You know, I like them for nothing not to happen. You know, and it's good. Then when you do hear something, you're like, oh man, what happened? Man, I ain't see it, but I should have been around. I would have helped break it up or something. You just don't happen. You know, and so um, I commend the principal for that, the coaches in our building for that, because we have to